I can go get some nasties.
I'll be in like Roscoe. I know. I go there.
Oh wait.
This is his little packet if he shows up.
I mean, it's almost as many.
You don't count?
And then we have
I know, now you can make this. Oh, okay, yeah, that's what's it's all marked. Oh, okay.
Up there. I probably.
You pull on the roll, Bob? You pull the roll? Oh, no, the secretary. Oh, I tried to give you something. No, that's all right.
That's not good.
My time for that is coming up.
Oh,
Pull the roll? Yeah. Well, not really.
yeah. There you go.
So 27 is not your dad. But my man is here. I'm just wondering if he's going to get lost. Huh? No, it's just that once you get on the ground here, you don't know where you're going. You can get lost. Yeah.
That's of course it's a little different.
that would be my
There you go. Couple more minutes. I know, we're ready to go. Get it going. Make this one. Okay, I'm good with that. Bob, is anybody else wandering?
No.
Let's get going.
Robert?
Okay, alrighty, call this to order. Alright, start off with roll call.
Dutchess County, Nicholas Trio. Dave Violante.
Yeah.
Joan Siebert. Here. Tim Murphy. Jennifer Monzi. Pete Chanella. Dee Sagendorf. Orange County, Joanne Cheney.
Here.
Ben Conks. Terry Barbie. Andy Lamarca.
introduction, we have Dan Clayton, Deputy Director of Operations and Emergency Preparedness. All right. Wants to see how Hudson Valley runs. All right, minutes have been distributed electronically. Any additions or corrections to the minutes as distributed? If not, motion's in order. Joan Siebert, Kim Lippis. All in favor? Opposed? All right, President's report. The only thing I have is a letter from Orange County, dear William Hughes, due to the resignation of Kelly Malkin on September 25th at the regular scheduled meeting of the Orange County Emergency Service Council, Inc. On November 24th, 2015, I was elected chairperson and was also elected to the position of delegate to the Hudson Valley Remsco. This term is scheduled to expire June 2016. I'm looking forward to working with all of you, and that's Eileen Mancuso. Eileen, welcome. Treasurer's report.
Dick is not here, but I do have a report from him. We wrote 31 checks. Since our last meeting, we wrote 31 checks worth $44,000. Most of the payments went into rent and health benefits. Our details are available if anybody wants to review them. We did move $30,000 in payroll, so that's why it's so much money. The rest of the as far as deposits, we were paid on the 12/31 voucher from New York State for $62,500 and the council voucher for $5,700. And so that means that there was no outstanding vouchers at all from New York State. We also received payment for a class that we did, a CIU class that was billed on 12/1. We received payment, and that's it. Also, so that means everything is paid up. This week, the auditors were in the office, so they started the audit, and probably be a couple of weeks before we get back the results of the audit. But there's nothing significant that they mentioned here. Our program agency balance is $147,661. Our conference and education is $47,872, and our payroll is around $17,000. And that's it. Any questions?
No questions? And just walking into the room is our new medical director, Dr. Mark Papish. Welcome. All right. Office report.
Okay. A few things have been gone on. The hemorrhage control protocol came out. It was listed as a draft, but it's actually the final version of it. So if anybody hasn't gotten it, let me know. I can send you a copy of it. If you look at the format that it's in now, these are the type of format that most of the protocols are going to be putting out in the diagram. Right? The big change on this one is applied tourniquet placement should be high and tight. Right? So should be high on the appendage. The second thing I have is a letter that went to the emergency rooms, and the staff in the emergency room should be aware of it. It's our suspected spinal injury protocol, and it's there so that the ER should be aware of what should be coming into them and how we're not necessarily boarding everybody that comes in or cover. Right? So it's for their guidelines. If our region, at this point, I have 8 agencies that are active in the program. So if anybody's interested and needs information, we have it on our website, or you can give us a call, or if, Ben, the gentleman from Syracuse, will be updating us on a monthly basis on what the usage is, so that it's happening on the program is moving along. The next thing I want to talk about is the collaborative protocols. And we're going to have a release of the collaborative protocols in 2016. The release is going to be a little bit different because the collaborative protocol group, we've been working together to pull out policies and procedures and just keep the protocols segment as protocols and clinical procedures. So there's a bunch of stuff that we're pulling out. The group is going to be working on putting together templates and educational material so that the templates will be the suggested way that we should handle those policies and procedures. And then the education will be so that the entire group gets a similar education package that will be distributed to everybody so that they'll be aware of what's going on in that dance. Any questions on that? Okay. One other thing on the protocols, we're looking at this point, the timeline is the 524 CMAC meeting is when we would hope to have these protocols up there, up to Albany and CMAC. We've been meeting a couple of times a week on conference calls, get it together. We have a meeting in March. The 1st of March is a state meeting. We're going to be meeting that night to finalize a lot of the changes. We renewed our delegates to both the CMAC and to the Remsco. Kept them the same. We still wait back for clarification from the state that they accepted the delegates that we've had.
And they are?
Dr. Murphy as REMAC, and Kim Lippis and Amy Lamar, delegates from the council.
I believe they were accepted because I received a request for personal information again for the annual, and I inquired as to whether or not I was appointed because I was less than reluctant to give my W-2 away should I not have been appointed. And the young lady I spoke to confirmed that she believed that I was appointed, though I had not received the official letter.
Right, we have not yet. Any questions about anything with the office?
Okay. QAQI?
Out on the table, there was a 4-page report. The first page was the Narcan summary for 2015, and that comprises both the BLS and ALS administrations. A little over 1,000 administrations throughout the year. The next 3 pages comprise it's a canned report from the state bridge. So I'm not 100% sure of the data quality. But that represents the primary impression as given by the provider as to the call type. And pretty much everything from soup to nuts is listed in there with totals. The one kind of standout on that is Orange County, which appears to be significantly high in some areas. So I'm going to take another look at that and run a couple of comparable reports to see if those numbers are indeed accurate. It is what the data says it is, but a lot of it is dependent on how that data is actually mined. I don't know how that report was written, so I'm not sure of the algorithm that was employed. The other thing too is you have a tiered system, so you have multiple agencies responding to the same call. If they're on EPCRs, you're going to get that data 2 or 3 different times. So it's more or less not paring it down into just the one call. It's going to show it as 2 or 3 different calls, depending on how many agencies ended up there. With the release of the Elite Bridge coming in the summer, I would anticipate that some of the reporting tools will be a little bit more precise as compared to what we have right now. We're looking at the new data dictionary coming out from the state. makes
with some of
it
the.
makes sense for the agencies within their county, sure.
And in the meantime, if you do need something.
Oh, yeah, I know, we can ask, but it was just, again, he said it was gonna come out like any day now when the next rollout came out, and I think that rollout's passed, we're already on another rollout. So just make sure it wasn't lost in the.
One of the things that I find very interesting and exciting about this is current data. I mean, if you've dealt with data that we used to have from our PCRs, it was years old. You know, sometimes it'd be as much as 5 years behind. And this is just what happened up until December. And we could run up until today if we had to. So it really gives you a lot of trends, it gives you a lot of information, really see what's happening. And this is only one of the many cases.
And it's only a portion of your calls, right? It's not all your people on ECRs.
Right.
So.
Well, you can actually look at it, you can see which counties have more people on.
No, I understand that, but I'm just saying that because there are people paper, we're not capturing the full picture.
Correct.
We're capturing the sample of the sample.
Right. The paper PCRs are still being handled the same way. They're being submitted, we're taking them and we're mailing them to New York and they're keep taping them down.
How fast are they doing that? I mean, I know.
Not as quick.
I know the old trauma data was, 6 years old and you're
Right.
kind of like, what?
Yeah, what good is it? And that's where this makes a big difference for everybody.
Anything else?
Definitely.
That's tonight. Okay. Dr. Papish, Medical Director's Report.
So, this being my first month, I didn't prepare one.
Lean this way, around
I
Rob. Thanks.
forgot. There we go. This being my first month, I apologize, I didn't prepare a report. I guess I can talk about the REMAC meeting.
Sure.
The last REMAC meeting we had, I think it was, we voted for our memorandum of understanding with the collaborative protocol, so we're officially down and tied into them. And it seems like the one upside of that is what I've discovered is there's not that many people making protocols in the state. It sounded like it was a huge body that was coming up with the protocols, but really the people discussing the issues are pretty small. So we have potential to have a lot more of a voice than I thought we would. Would you agree? So that's one thing going forward. But the rest of the REMAC meeting. Any big points?
No.
That was really the biggest thing. And that's all I have to say.
Hey, welcome. All right, committees, training, Dave.
Good evening. So from the training committee, some of the things that we're working on end up being more regional approaches to what we do and involvement of BLS components of the collaborative protocols for BLS agencies and squads at the regional level. So that's a direction that we're looking to move in terms of rollout or anything like that. The new state BLS protocol
information?
Not this meeting, but apparently next meeting.
You might want to form a committee too, with you.
Yes,
Yeah.
I actually just deleted a template from the last newsletter that we just, it's been years.
And on that, yeah, everybody should
Well,
be.
that was the problem, is we
if-
used to do it, and I didn't get any input, so it was me and, who was the executive director? Right,
Ray
Ray
Barshansky.
Barshansky, yeah, and it just got smaller and smaller, and then it just went away.
Each county should be looking to feed something to them, so that,
But we'll
keep
be-
it going, and what's going on in your area. Classes coming up, changes, everybody should be feeding something to Desiree. All right, policy procedures, Greg?
We had to put the policies together for our deliverables. One was the record retention policy, and then I forgot what the other one was. Record retention and... Sorry,
It's a weird name. They do have it.
Is that the support of the?
Support something.
It's support of the program agency, how the region will support them because the way we're combined with funding and stuff.
Administrative support policy.
Go through and draft up the policies and submit them and
Any questions on that? If not, legislation and bylaws, Albie is not here. Anybody got any updates on legislation? If not, he has a proposed bylaw amendment, and we read it tonight and vote it at the next meeting?
Yes,
Yep.
that's correct.
Okay. And it's proposed bylaw amendment, section 3, standing committees, add section 3J as follows. Personnel committee. The personnel committee shall draft and/or revise personal policies for board approval, review job descriptions, establish a salary structure, and review staff salaries annually, review the benefits package. Additionally, the personnel committee shall ensure that staff evaluations are completed annually. The committee shall also act as a grievance board for employee complaints. All formal complaints are to be written in written form. Members of the committee shall consist of the president, the vice president, secretary, and treasurer. Submitted by Legislative and Bylaws Committee, Albie Bachman, Chair. I'll review that and then discussion at the next meeting. EPCR Committee.
Okay, well, we we actually had some activity this past month. We had our first meeting by conference call, and we're trying to figure out ways to bring EPCR to more agencies in the region and get, as many people on board as possible, as many agencies on board as possible. One of the first things we want to do is come out with a survey to try to poll the agencies and get information that we can then use to help figure out how to fit them into the right solution and what, hopefully lead them to the, the correct vendors who are going to give them what they need. So we're circulating around right now. Jeff started it, and we've done some additions to it. So soon we'll get the survey out, and then we'll collect those results, and then we're going to use that to, point us in the right direction. And if anybody else wants to participate on the tag, feel free to speak up. I know Matt Bondi said that he wanted to be on it too, so we'll include him. And that's it, unless anybody has any questions.
All right. Murph, Community Paramedicine.
Well, I want to defer any further action until after the next state council meeting, simply because of the fact that with the next legislative session, that's the point push to
Tim, anything on state?
Next council is March 1st and 2nd. The only thing is a reminder that the memorial will be May 17th, 11 o'clock, up in Albany. And there were 6 new names going up on it. 4 were 9/11 related.
I'm sorry, but
4 were 9/11 related. So please put it on your calendars to share with your agencies. Yes. May 17th, it's Tuesday at 11 a.m.
Old business, and Albie's not here, but did he give anybody a report for the mutual aid tag? I guess that's deferred. All right.
Well, you got the email from him? I gave you the email.
Yeah, that was,
Yeah, that says that he's been communicating regularly with the individual.
oh, I'm sorry, I missed that part. Andy and I have been communicating regularly regarding the mutual aid tag. We have not been able to coordinate our schedules for a formal meeting. After speaking with him today, we've agreed to meet after my return. Please let those who volunteered to sit on the committee know that we will be reaching out to them this month. Right. I thought the email just pertained to the bylaws. All right, under new business, awards, we have to have an awards committee. If you're interested in that, let us know. We'd like to have one, at least one from each county to participate in it. And I don't think we have anybody. All right, what did I do? Awards, we have nobody from Orange County and nobody from Sullivan County. So if anybody's interested,
I'll volunteer.
and from Orange County, if somebody's interested, let us know. All right. And same thing with any of the committees that, as a delegate, you should participate in at least one committee. If you're interested, like Bob said, with the EPCR or any of the committees, let us know. I'm sure Desiree could use some help. Looks like she's a committee of one. All right. And transportation, your committee of one, according to this. REMAC finance, all right. Policy procedures is Greg. Nominating is Greg. Conference committee, yeah. That's by the wayside, but if anybody's got interest in the region getting involved in a conference or working with other counties with their conference, we could do that. All right, so there are openings. If you're interested, let us know.
You'd be like the chair of transportation. I have no problem stepping in.
All right. Nominating committee, chair and members. Chair right now is, oh, no chair. Craig is the only person on there. Again, we're looking
Yeah,
for,
Orange County, Joanne's gonna volunteer for nominating.
ooh, yeah, this committee, Phil just reminded me, the slate has to be presented at the next committee, at the next council meeting.
We've been spoiled because Kitty always did it.
Yeah, Kitty always did it, yeah.
So we're spoiled by that, so whoever's taking it.
Yeah.
Greg.
I'm no better than ours.
You have more experience.
Okay. Recruitment and retention, Jeff?
Hey, this Saturday at the Dutchess County 911 Center, there's going to be an 8-hour seminar for recruitment and retention. It's actually being funded by a SAFER grant by the New York State Fire Chiefs Association. There are still 2 or 3 openings if anyone is interested. It is posted prominently on our Facebook page. With that, I'm going to kind of dovetail into what David said a few minutes ago about we're the region and we're here to help. At the end of last year, I sent out a survey to agencies to kind of get an idea of
thing is something that's, one of the things I have an interest in is, and I'd like to see the region think about, getting more involved in emergency preparedness, not so much as responding, but as a resource to other agencies. Think about it, what we can do as a region. Hopefully, at the next meeting, I have a gentleman here from Office of Hospital Emergency Preparedness, a meeting I was at with them a couple of months ago. They talked about how EMS was going to be transporting burn patients and all kinds of stuff, but we're not involved in any of their planning, and we don't get any of their grant money. And is there some way that we can get involved in that? So think about that. Again, not as a responding agency, but can we be a resource to agencies and to counties? All right. At this time, I'd like to introduce Anthony Sutton, who is the Commissioner of Emergency Services in Putnam County. Anthony, welcome.
It's a pleasure being here. I see that nobody in Hudson Valley is
Mr. Sun, keep your voice up for me, okay?
I have been to a Hudson Valley meeting in many, many, many years. I couldn't find the count of the Tigers, so I'm a lot heavier, a lot older, and a lot older. And I would hope a lot wiser. Anyway, I appreciate the
Clayton.
New York State Health Department, Bureau of EMS. Just that it's a pleasure to be here and to meet all of you. I will stay for a little bit after the meeting. It's basically just a social visit to say hi. Many of you I know from state council or from my days when I worked in Delaware County. And, you know, obviously this region borders Arums in Delaware County, so I worked with some of the folks from the northern part of Hudson Valley, Greg. But it's a pleasure to be here tonight, and I'm basically here just to listen and to ask or to answer any questions that you might have about, specifically about operations and emergency preparedness with the State Bureau of EMS, because I've been so far removed from education and certification now for 3 or 4 years that I'm not really up to date on what's going on that side of the shop. But if I can't answer the question, I'll certainly get the answer back to you via email or back through Bill or Rich in the next couple of days if you have questions about education and certification. So that's all. Just wanted to say thank you for having me, and it's a pleasure to be here.
Dan, you got any suggestions with the emergency preparedness? Anything we should be looking at?
Well, I think one of the big initiatives right now from the State Health Department's perspective, and it's not specific just to the Bureau of EMS, but the whole State Health Department as a whole, is they're still working on Ebola, but what we're trying to, I realize that Ebola is gone for now. It could come back, but it's gone. But what we're trying to do is maybe redirect the thoughts of our counterparts and other bureaus and programs of the health department to think about emerging infectious diseases as a whole. I think that it's important that from emergency preparedness, not so much response, but the mitigation perspective, you be thinking about how you would handle personnel, staffing, continuity of operations planning. COOP is a big thing, whether it's directly related to emergency preparedness and response or not. It's daily activities, daily routine operations. So I think you're going to be hearing some things. In fact, some of the regional, what we call the regional Ebola transport agencies that we put together over a year ago when the commissioner's order first came out, i.e. the mobile life support, the TransCare, they'll be receiving a survey in the next couple of weeks. It's very similar to the one that hospitals receive statewide that are Ebola treatment centers, just try to find out a little bit about what the agencies are prepared to do at this point. It is going to be specific to Ebola, but the Bureau of EMS is also trying to get the health department to think more on the line of emerging infectious diseases, because it's not just going to be Ebola. Something, obviously now we've got other things. Yeah, exactly. So we've got other diseases coming out that we need to be aware of and prepare for. So I'd just be looking for that. What's really critical is that we keep good contact information. I think we do a fairly good job about it. Keeping good contact information for county EMS coordinators and alternate points of contact, like Mr. Sutton, Commissioner Sutton. He's one of our alternate points of contact for Putnam County. If we can't get a hold of Bob in order to deploy ambulances. So it's important that we have good contact information for county coordinators ahead of time, and I'm a good liaison to the Bureau to make sure we have good points of contact. I guess that would be my answer to that question right now.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Bill?
In the title of Bureau of EMS, they added the trauma services.
Trauma systems.
Trauma systems. What does that mean to us as a
Okay, the Bureau of EMS, at least as long as I've been with the Bureau, which is 14 years now, has always had a trauma program attached to it. It's Linda Tripoli is the trauma program manager right now. She's basically a unit manager within the Bureau, like myself, but she's specifically responsible for the trauma program. It has everything to do with trauma-designated hospitals and trauma-related data, informatics. So that's really in a nutshell what they do.
new business, anything to be brought forward? If not, then the motion's in order. That was Greg. Right. And Rich Mullally. All right, a lot of practice there. All right, seconded that. Drive safe, guys. Thanks for coming.